Good morning. It's time for today's AM Minnesota program. Paul Pieper is in studio, Rice County Environmental Services, Solid Waste. We were kidding Paul before we went on the air this morning. We'll be talking trash today, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's what I usually do best is talking trash.
I know every once in a while I enjoy visiting with you, just kind of get an update and what's going on at the landfill, what you can do and what you can't do, what we should be doing in terms of doing our part for recycling. It seems like sometimes things change a little bit.
Well, things change, and then the big thing is, for a number of years, since about 2007, we've had this what we call a single sort, where we have a nice blue bin with the yellow top where you can put all your recycling in, and it works really good. We get a lot of recycling that comes in that we used to not get. But the other problem is we get a lot of wish recycling, and those are items that I really wish somebody would recycle it and they put it in. The items that we really want inside the recycling bin are your metal cans. That's your aluminum and tin.
That's like pop cans,
beer
or
cans,
the soup cans.
Yeah, soup cans. Your old tin cans, which are really metal. Your glass bottles. So that's like bottles and jars. Not window glass, not glass from a car window or anything like that. It's just the glass bottles and jars. Of course, you got your cardboard and what we call box board, which is like your cereal boxes, those type of cardboard.
Oh, that's recyclable.
That's
too.
Recyclable. Junk mail, newspaper, magazines, they can all be recycled. We also, in the last few years, we've added what we call aseptic containers. That's be like your milk jugs, like the juice containers, the broth containers.
So like the cardboard milk cartons or the gallon jugs, the plastic.
The plastic, but also the paper ones. You get like your beef broth and stuff like that that comes in. Those could be actually recycled now. And of course your plastics, which we usually say consumer plastics, what we mean by that is like your packaging or the bottles and that you get at like the supermarket. So it's small containers. Not toys, not baby car seats, not no hoses. People want to for some reason people love to recycle garden hoses, and that's a big no-no.
Because usually they're rubbery, aren't they? Or a lot of times they're more plastic, something.
Plastic is our main culprit of what we of the problems that we have, is because everybody gets everything else. Paper, plastic, metal. Paper, cardboard, metal. But when it comes to plastic, it's like it's plastic, it's recyclable, and it's really what we want is those consumer packages. No toys, no parts of TVs, no
or
parts of cars.
I have a big pile of plastic out in one shed from 2 years that I haven't had time yet, and they're 2.5 gallon triple rinsed herbicide containers. And I'll have to work with the Department of Agriculture. Sometimes the co-ops will take and recycle, collect all those.
But after they're triple rinsed, those will actually go into landfill. We can't really recycle those because it has the pesticides in it. So those plastics will actually, after it's triple rinsed, will actually go
so instead of talking to my co-op or whatever,
they'll do have those collections every now and then, and what they'll do is they'll bail it up, and then it's sent off to a place where it's going to be landfilled or incinerated for energy.
But I could just save the step and take it.
It depends if you need the room, but with pesticide containers, what we tell people is to triple rinse them and use the rinse as you would normally use the product.
Well, that's what I would do when I'm dumping it in the tank. You don't fill it completely full of water. You triple rinse it.
Yep.
Dump that in the tank too, and then top off the tank.
The big reason is that because a lot of the plastic eventually is going to end up back into the food industry.
And
so they don't want to have that potential of contamination.
Yeah, well, that's logical.
And right now there isn't a really good. They're looking into it, but there really isn't a good way of getting those recycled and to get them to the right markets where it's not going to get that.
Maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future.
Crude oil's down modestly in the early going. We're online at brownfieldagnews.com. John, Brownfield Market Update.
The market update was sponsored by the KDHL Agro Boosters, including Northern Buildings. For quality post-frame construction, visit them at their website, northernbuildings.com. My guest on today's AM Minnesota program is Paul Pieper with the Rice County Environmental Services Solid Waste, or I'll bet sometimes, Paul, people refer to you as Mr. Trash.
More than I like.
Oh, in that case, I won't call you that anymore.
That's fine.
But it's amazing that what we can do now in terms of helping protect the environment and doing the right thing when it comes to what the garbage truck picks up for us once a week for most of us.
Yes, it's actually pretty remarkable if you think about what we've done in Minnesota with the recycling and just the attitudes that we have of putting things in the right spot. I mean, you go to other parts of the country and here you have that aluminum can and you get done with it, and you're looking around for the recycling bin to put it in. I mean, it's been a big cultural change, I think, over the years with this system what we have set up.
It must have been a long time in the development too. When you looked at, we're now in this single source recycling, the big blue container. And before the market break, you listed all the different types of things that can go in there. It's mind-boggling to think we must have the technology to sort this stuff out so it can be reused in the proper category then?
Of course. I mean, Rice County, what we do is we actually collect that. It comes to us, and then we load that up on large trailers, and that's sent off to another facility, to a MRF, which is a materials recovery facility. And we take in about 36 to 38 tons a day of materials. That sounds like a lot, but these MRFs, and there's quite a few of them especially here in the metro area in Minnesota, and generally they process about 600 tons a day. And it's pretty much all mechanical or with optical sorters and conveyor belts that'll separate out the different fibers, and they have it down to where they can actually separate out the different color paper with optical sorters, where basically you have a little puff of air and it goes on one conveyor and it'll get recycled and baled up one way, and so in a facility that large there's very few staff that actually have to hand sort the material. Usually you have like a front line of about maybe 5 or so people that are pulling out the garbage, the things that shouldn't be there, and then the rest is pretty much automated on how it's separated out. If you go on, you could go on YouTube and look and just type in single sort recycling facilities or single sort MRFs, and there'll be a whole bunch of different videos you can watch, and it's really something to watch how all this stuff comes in there and how automated it is.
And then these places, then they've sorted all this stuff out, different colored plastic and different colored gallon jugs, and that, so they can separate it out, and then it goes to a spot where it can actually then be reused, right? That's why
Correct.
we're doing all this?
What they do with that is it's sent off, and then they bale it up, and then there's different markets that actually buy, buy the paper, buy the cardboard,
buy the plastic,
buy the different types
buy
of plastic,
the tin cans,
the steel, the aluminum, and so it's a whole market scheme, and it's all on, for the large facilities that are processing 600 tons. I mean, they have to almost do that every day because the machinery and stuff that they use is very expensive.
So they want to keep it going.
That's the reason why Rice County no longer processes actually the household recycling as we used to, because when we used to have to separate everything out, we could easily separate that out and bale it off and send it off to markets. But now it's mixed in. It's cost prohibitive for doing, which a lot of people say 36 tons sounds like a lot, and in the recycling industry, that's not very much.
That's not so much. If you have any questions, you aren't quite sure whether you should put this, whatever it is, in that recycling container or put it in your normal garbage, could probably go to the website and kind of get some instruction there. And if all else fails, you still aren't sure, you can maybe talk to somebody.
Correct. I mean, if you have a question on what needs to be recycled, I mean, we do have resources on the county website. Just go to I believe the pull down is your government or your department's heads, and just there should be actually go to there's a section that says solid waste. If you go there, there should be a bunch of information on that. And if you need to call us, we'll surely help you if you have a question on what needs to be recycled or not.
We have a couple old TVs sitting in our basement yet, and I know a couple times I can remember there was a big Saturday where everybody, and you saw pickups with all kinds of, just piled high and long lines, and I thought, I'm not good. I have better things to do with my time than that. Can we bring some of those things up to the recycling or to the landfill and then just pay a fee and get rid of them so I don't have to wait in line for a couple hours?
Yes, we offer a lot of different types of drop-offs for recycling at the recycling center. I mean, we have, you're talking TVs for electronics. There is a fee involved in that for like a TV or computer monitor, anything with a screen. That's going to be $15. But like your computer or small electronic device, that's going to only be $5 each. Your appliances like your freezer, washer, dryer, stove, furnace, those type of things, they will come. They can be dropped off. Again, that's a $15 fee, and those items actually are recycled, but there's a cost that's involved in it, so that's the reason why we have to have a fee on that. Other items that we at the recycling center for drop off, we'll take used tires. Your normal car tires or light truck tires are going to be $2 each. Your larger tires, truck tires, are going to be $5, and then your big semi and tractor tires are going to be between $10 to $25 each. Of course, on those bigger ones, you don't want the smaller ones. They can be on the rims, but the tractor tires have to be off the rims.
The nice thing about that is a lot of the dealers now, whether they're selling big rear tractor tires or the small car tires, I never get asked when I need a new set of tires. Here's a $2 or $3 fee on the check for quote recycling. They collect a bunch, and then every so often they haul them off, and I think that's really helped. Because I tell you what, driving around out in the country, you hate to see some of this stuff just thrown.
Oh yeah, and there's still a lot of tires out there. It's surprising, I work there and I can bring them in and have them recycled, and I just have the car place take them. And a lot of times I don't even ask if you want them or not.
Well, I go through the hassle for $2.
Yeah,
that's
$2.
$8. Yeah. You're going to get your trunk all dirty and your nice car to try and take them on. Just let them take care of it.
Yeah, and it works out quite nice to have them take care of it. It's like, because one of those things, you're going to bring it home and then put it in the garage. It's going to sit there for a number of years, get all dusty and full of spiders, and then eventually you can trip over it and want to get rid of it. So I think it's a good idea when you get your new tires. Just they're set up to take it, but we're also set up to take them at the recycling center for those people that you buy an old farmstead and there's a bunch of old tires. We can take them. Like I said, there is a fee for that. Other items that we do also take at the recycling center, a lot of them like your used clothes. We have a free drop off for that. Your yard waste, we have an area at the at the landfill for all your brush and grass clippings and those type of things.
And so do a lot of cities, like the city of Faribault has one too. They're closer, so I just take it there rather than up to yours.
There's a lot, but we're open year round for that. Of course, your used motor oil filters, antifreeze and batteries, those are all dropped off.
Oil filters, I've wondered what should be done with those. You drain out the oil, and I've got a 30-gallon drum. When it's full, I call a buddy, and he someone or other burns it in his shop. But I always wonder what to do with those filters.
They can be brought down to the recycling center. For the normal car ones, there is no charge for that. We just have a drop off. You drive up through and you into our big brown shed, and then there's an area for the oil and oil filters for drop off. And what happens with them is they're actually squished and the oil is taken out of them, and then actually the steel in the cans are recycled.
And the cardboard, whatever it is, that actually works like the filter, that's recycled then.
And then of course your normal recycling that you do on the curbside, we'll accept that at no charge at the recycling center. And of course your hazardous waste, your household hazardous waste, we will accept that from any resident from Rice County. Businesses need to make an appointment for us, but there's quite a few things that there is no charge for you to actually bring into the recycling center.
And I think there's a lot of that out there sitting around in people's garages, something they bought and they probably don't even know what it is anymore. Bought it years ago.
Correct. And over the years, at least I've been there over 16 years. The household hazardous waste, the numbers have steadily increased on what comes in, and we try to encourage people to bring it in before it goes bad, because we do have a reuse room that we basically will check like the items that we can put on them. There are certain items that are banned, that that are old, that have materials in them that we no longer want out in the environment. But most of your paints and stuff, we'll check. If they're good, we put them on the shelf, and people can stop by at the reuse room and take it at no charge. And lately, our biggest complaint there is you have no paint. It's like, well, we're putting about the same amount of paint we always had, but it just goes out so much quicker.
Well, it's great that if it's good, let somebody else use it.
Exactly. And then one of the issues we have in Minnesota, we have a thing called winter. So you put that latex paint out in the garage, a lot of times that'll go bad. So it's like, if you have paint you don't want, don't feel like I have to wait until it's totally bad before bringing it in. If you don't want it, bring it in, and we can actually get it reused or recycled.
I had a 5-gallon can or a pail of stain, and it was about half full yet. I forgot it in the garage for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. All at once I noticed it was seeping a little bit. So I had a plastic 5-gallon pail. I set it in, and it's on my list to take it up.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to do. It's like if you notice you're having a leak, is put it in like a bucket or some type of container.
So you don't spill it all over the rest of your garage floor, in your car, your pickup, and when you.
Yeah, so it just less, and then it saves you from having the cost or the mess to deal with.
In terms of like farmers and waste pesticides, seems like we sometimes have things left over, but that's a program with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. Every so often they kind of make swings through.
Well, they do, but you can bring them down to the hazardous waste facility. We're part of that program.
So we can't just drop them off.
You just drop it off. They have made a few changes to that program. Very large amounts, anything over 300 pounds. They're making us do paperwork on, and they can charge you for that. So if you have any questions on it, just give us a call at the recycling center.
I've been to some of those, and usually it's couple containers. Yeah. It's no large volume because you don't overbuy, buy much more than you need. It's the little parts of containers usually. Right. Or bags.
Usually it's like the 2.5 gallon, maybe the 5 gallon jugs. Yeah. That's what we usually deal with. Once in a while, in the past, we used to get some 55 gallon drums, and of course, we can't take them in the bulk containers. We'd have to make arrangements with the farmer who has that to get it pumped out to get it recycled. But there has been a few changes with the Department of Ag. So if any farmer does have large amounts of waste pesticide, just to have us give us a call, and we can help them out through the process.
And I know that every time I buy a pesticide or I buy fertilizer, I pay a small tax. And part of that goes for cleaning up if there's a spill. Part of that goes for the recycling, the waste pesticide collection. So when you work with farmers, then do you get reimbursed or some of that to help cover the costs?
Yes, we do. So county's not charged for the disposal, and we actually get reimbursed on the supplies that we use. It's kind of, to me, it's a win-win. We're getting this material out of the environment and getting it properly taken care of, and then it's not really, it's like like you said, you've paid for it up front, and so the county's benefiting from a little bit of our work. It's definitely a win-win.
This was maybe a few years ago. The Minnesota Department of Agriculture was down, and I think it was at the the landfill, and it's always fun to go in there and visit with the people on what are the unusual things that you find or the stories. And said it's still amazing that we still every once in a while, I said we'd get in some DDT and some other pesticides that have been banned decades ago when somebody bought a farmstead and all at once they're cleaning out and there it is, been sitting there all these years.
Oh yeah, it's since I've been there, probably about 5 years ago, we've really started seeing the decrease in the DDT and
maybe we finally found all of those.
But I don't think we found it all. Every once in a while you get it in, but I mean it used to be when I first started, it was very common that it was like every couple of weeks you would get a decent amount of like these, what do we call them, PBTs,
Yeah.
persistent biotoxin type of chemicals that have been banned, and they would come in, and a lot of times people were they thought they were going to go to jail because these things were banned from the 70s, and it's like we encourage bring them in, that
because you have the training, so you know how to safely deal with them, get them packaged up or do whatever you do, and usually then don't they take them to some incinerator and it's burned at very high temperatures? And
correct, they'll send off to different incinerators around the country that are burnt at real high temperatures that'll actually destroy the materials. But I mean, we just encourage people to bring that stuff in. If it's really old, you're not going to jail, you're not going to get in trouble, we're not going to yell at you. We'd rather have you bring it in than have it sit around and start leaking and having other issues.
I was visiting with someone from the Minnesota Department of Agriculture and the Fertilizer Pesticide Regulatory Unit, and he always made the point, it's not against the law to have an accident and have a spill, but it is against the law not to report it to the duty officer so we can fix it.
Exactly, so they know what's going on.
And that's kind of the same way. If you got something there and you find it, you didn't break the law.
Yeah.
Get to the proper people so we can get it out of the environment in a responsible way.
Correct.
And I think that's a responsibility we all have, whether you're a farmer like me and I'm buying pesticides and using them, sometimes restricted use, or you're a homeowner and you're buying some 2,4-D or some glyphosate to kill a few weeds around your place. Read the label, use them responsibly.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. If you're going to use pesticides or any type of cleaner that's considered hazardous or has a warning on it.
Some of these drain cleaners and types of things kind of scare me, Paul.
Oh, yeah. It's the big thing is there's directions on there, and we've really encouraged people just read the instructions and read if you're going to be mixing them with water. It's a concentrate. They know what they're doing. It doesn't seem like a quarter cup per 2 gallons is going to be enough.
You mean if a little is good, a lot isn't better?
Yeah, no, that doesn't necessarily work that well.
What about some of the other things that, my example again, that have accumulated in our basement from kids in college over the years, mattresses and box springs and maybe some old chairs and things like that. Instead of setting them out there and hoping maybe the garbage truck takes them, we could load them up and bring them up to the landfill?
Well, yeah. I'm glad you brought up mattresses and box springs, because over about the last 4 or 5 years, we've implemented a different system for actually those items, because they're really a pain in for the landfill, because mattresses don't break down. They get caught on the machinery and they take up a lot of space in the landfill.
They're bulky. Yeah.
So what we've done in the last few years is there's a fee. There's a $20 per mattress or box spring, and we actually send them off for recycling.
Oh.
So last year we did about 42 tons of mattresses that were recycled.
It did occur to me sneaking out to the farm and stick a match to it, but that's probably not a good idea, is it?
No, that's not a good thing.
Yeah. We used to do that years ago, but we're smarter now, right?
Yeah, so, hopefully.
Well, I've got 4 of them in the back of my truck right now that I'll swing up to the landfill. And
yeah, it's there is a fee for it, but they actually are sent off and recycled. Versus, the problem is the cost. That when you put them in the landfill, they take up so much room, and we're saving a lot of room with not having to deal with them.
Well, that's kind of what all this recycling is about too, isn't it? Is saving room by reusing what can be reused. That's kind of what it's all about, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, I mean you're saving room in the landfill. You're saving your resources because you don't have to go out and get the resources out of the environment. You already have it, and you're getting another use out of them.
And I've seen like some for lack of a better term, salvage yards, junk yards. You can take your cars there. Sometimes they'll say we pay for aluminum cans. That's fine if we go there and sell them too, right?
Sure, that's fine. As long as it gets reused or recycled, that's what we care about.
And if you're a company that pop or beer company, that I assume that they can buy those and recycle them much cheaper than they can access the raw.
Yeah, especially like aluminum, because aluminum is very expensive to, when you mine it, you get the bauxite. It generally the areas where it's at, it's hard to get to, and that's the reason why
The smelting process.
The smelting process to get it. That's why aluminum is probably, you have the highest return on your recycling.
Well, because the free market works, because they pay you more for it.
Exactly.
That's how the system is supposed to work, right?
Correct.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left, Paul. Is there something that you'd like to mention that we haven't touched on yet?
Well, I suppose I should talk about the hours that we do have down at the recycling center.
24 hours a day, right?
No, not 24 hours a day. Our normal hours Monday through Friday are 7:30 to 3:30 p.m. So 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Our Saturday schedule, we actually have a summer and a winter schedule, and the summer schedule goes from April through October, and that's the second and fourth Saturdays. We're open to the public, and that's from 7:30 to 11:30. In November through March, we're only open the second Saturdays per month, from 7:30 to 11:30.
And it can be kind of intimidating if you've never been there. Okay, am I going to drive in the wrong spot? Am I going to do something I'm supposed to? Just pull in, stop, and ask. There's somebody will be there that'll help you.
Generally,
right?
when you pull in, as you pull in through the gates, you'll see like the scale area, and that's what we tell people is just pull up on the scale. There's an intercom there. You can talk to the girls in the office, and they'll give you directions to the right spot.
First time I was up there, we'd torn down a building out at the farm, and I had a bunch of asphalt shingles in the back of the truck. And I pulled up there. We haven't mentioned that, but that's another one that you still should recycle those, bring those there too.
Yeah.
Right?
We also have then we have the landfill, which is for your municipal solid waste, and then we have a demolition landfill, which we're restricted on like old building materials, tear off, because of the type of demolition landfill that we have at our site. You can go, like I said, go online to the county website, go under the departments or your government there, click on solid waste, and then you should be able to get a lot of the information that we have on everything for the.
And like you said, that if all else fails, give somebody a call out there. They'd be happy to visit with you.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, Paul. We should do this every once in a while because things change, technology changes, and it's always fun to visit with how technology has affected your world too.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you much.
Thank you, Paul. That was Paul Pieper with the Rice County Environmental Services Solid Waste Department. That concludes today's AM Minnesota program. You are listening to KDHL Radio in Faribault.